So I've got a few more questions I want to ask to Will and Jan, and then we're going to open it up for you guys to ask questions. I hope you've got some on your mind right now. So I've already asked you about the first time you saved seeds. When's the first time you made money doing it?
Well, the first time was probably when I worked for y'all.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons to save seeds, isn't there?
Yeah, I never really thought about the process or how much of a process it is to get seeds. You know, we go to the store, we buy seeds, you know, and you don't really ever think about how much work goes into getting those seeds into that packet, you know. And so this has allowed me to be able to learn that whole process, and has given me even more of a respect for those little seeds that are in each of those packages.
So there's an awful lot of reasons to save seeds, and her first time saving seeds wasn't because of money. And I don't want it to sound like Baker Creek is just interested in the finances behind it. If you all know much about our company, you know our mission is so much more than that. In fact, I am so proud to work as the seed production manager for this company. And if it didn't have the integrity of our mission is to help people eat better and to save the biodiversity on this planet that the Lord gave us. If it wasn't for that mission, it would just be work to me. It really would. But there's a greater purpose involved in it. But we are a for-profit company, and so we combine that with the revenue that comes in, and that's a blessing also, and we recognize it as that, and we don't disrespect that. So we're talking here about how to make money saving seeds, but I don't want you to think that's all our company's interested in, because it's so much more. And I think that's obvious to everybody that has observed our company for any amount of time at all. We're interested in people's health. Jared Gettle has opened my eyes. When I first came to work here, I thought all tomatoes were red and all bell peppers were green and carrots were orange, right? And didn't realize the beauty that exists among the creation and that exists among all of the seeds that are out there. So I'm really grateful to that, having been exposed to that when I first came to this company. My background being in biology, and that's why I say I'm no seed expert, but maybe someday he'll turn me into one. I'm very pleased to work in this company and in this grower program. So Will, in your experience, now talking about the financial side of it, a lot of people call us up who are already market farmers, and they're already selling seeds at the farmer's market, and that's their income. Not selling seeds, I misspoke. I meant selling their produce. And in your opinion, and you can elaborate on this as much as you want, please, is it more lucrative to sell produce at the farmer's market or to sell seeds to a company such as ours?
That is a question that actually is a bit complicated, because produce production as opposed to seed production are two different mindsets, two different commercial commitments. The Roughwood Seed Collection was basically my personal research collection up until 2015. I paid for everything out of my own pocket. Then we realized that is not sustainable. My pocket was getting very empty, and we became nonprofit. We've had this back and forth we now have a board and all kinds of people involved about whether we should start selling produce, because we have chefs in Philadelphia who want to brand their foods on the menus that these foods came from the Roughwood Seed Collection. Both are hard work. I think that, and they're both 24/7 commitments. I would like to see our situation where we're producing seeds that we can sell, but also at some point down the road, we can also grow produce and have that as an extra source of income. I'm now looking at a nonprofit, not William Woys Weaver. I'm looking at ways to create cash flow in different areas. So in order for us as the seed collection to have produce, we're going to need a lot of acreage, and we have been loaned land to use for free on a private estate in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Now, they own 37 acres at about $10 million an acre in real estate value. There's no way they can grow anything on that and pay taxes with it, but they're now a nonprofit themselves.
And let me interject right there with that comment. I've got a grower down in New Mexico on some expensive real estate. He actually calculated how much it takes, how much he has to earn, whether it's for produce or seeds, per row foot. And growers out in California, we don't have very many of them. Look at our map, our distribution. This represents the distribution of our growers in the country. It's the only slide I've got for you. The little red dots, and many of them are overlapping one another, so you don't see all 200 plus growers that we have. But the value of the real estate, as Will mentioned, affects how you're going to turn an income on that. And the person has to make the right decision, and there's a lot goes into it. As he says, it's a complicated beast.
I'll tell you, we have done some extremely good math to figure out exactly what sort of costs we have to cover to maintain ourselves as a nonprofit. We started out in 2015 trying to sell seeds all on our own. And we realized at the end of the day that it costs us $9 per packet because we're so artisanal. There's no way that we could sell seeds for $9. Well, there are people out there who want to help, but that's not going to pay the bills. So we realized we've got to find a way to get rid of the labor costs, but up the amount of seeds that we can turn over to Baker Creek, because this is an important source of income for our nonprofit right now. We also sell to Hudson Valley Seed Library, and if people donate money to us, we can gift them seeds. How's that? Because this germination thing, in Pennsylvania, I don't know what the laws are in Missouri, because things seem to work differently out here, but I know in Pennsylvania everything has to be germ tested, and we have to have 400 seeds to send.
That's actually a national law. It's not regulated by the state, so it's USDA that governs that.
When you think that you have to send 400 fava beans to be tested for germination rates, that's 400 fava beans we could have sold.
Yeah,
it really gets kind of expensive in that respect. So there are all kinds of costs. And for the small guy to sell seeds, Owen Taylor was our seed manager, and he worked with us until 2 years ago. He set himself up as a small seed company. I wish him well. But there are all kinds of hidden costs. When we think of Miracle-Gro selling seed for $1.29 a packet, we don't know how that seed was grown, but it's out there, and people see $1.29 and then $4 or $9 on our mythological seed packets. I mean, they don't understand the kind of labor that goes into producing seeds and the kind of artisanal care that goes into the really good quality seeds. And I'm trying to keep our seed collection on target in terms of quality. I want my seeds to be Rolls Royce.
Excellent. And so he's already touched upon the fact that oftentimes, and this is an answer to that question, but we want to hear the response from Jan in just a moment. The answer to the question is, it is a complicated thing, and it's going to be different for every grower. Every grower's got a different situation out there as to not only what motivates them, but how expensive it's going to be for them to produce seed or produce produce. We had another one of our growers from the state of Kansas here visiting with us today, and they are right in that dilemma right now of deciding, okay, husband just resigned from his employment in order to go full-time on the farm. What's the best thing for us and our 6 kids? Do we want to grow produce and spend all that time at the farmer's market, or do we want to grow seeds and send it to Baker Creek? So that particular grower who's been with us for a few years is in a dilemma right now, and they've got to make up their mind. It might be a lot easier for somebody else who's got this acreage, and they've always saved seeds, and they love doing it anyway, and it's more of a hobby to them. And if they can make money, great, and if they can have fun, great too, you know. And so it's going to be different for every individual. But how about for you? You did both, right?
Yeah, actually, I had a small CSA, and I raised vegetables for that CSA. But I really found out that I prefer raising seeds as opposed to going and sitting at a farmer's market. When you calculate the amount of money that you make with the seeds, and you calculate the amount of time that you put into gathering everything up, cleaning it all up, taking it to the farmer's market, sitting there for 4 or 6 hours, bringing home half of it if you don't have a good turnout, it starts working out to where, I mean, it's pretty even. Some crops pay more than other crops. I find that peanuts are actually a really good crop for me to raise down in Georgia. I'm in northwest Georgia, and it's not an area that most people raise peanuts, so I don't really have to worry about isolation as much because there's nobody around that even remotely raises peanuts. And peanuts, I mean, it's rare that you're going to get $10 a pound at a farmer's market for peanuts. And this is what Baker Creek pays for the peanuts. I found out that I actually make better when I raise seeds, and I like the idea that everything that's being raised and is being sold here it's going to somebody. It's feeding thousands and thousands of people, more so than farmers markets would. So.
Wow, yeah, that's a great aspect to think about. That's very altruistic, for the purpose behind it, that it really reaches out and touches a lot more people than one individual that might take it home and consume that fruit and discard the seeds. It's touching many people because you guys know how seeds multiply. We had a variety, and I'm going to digress a little bit here. We had a variety of a bean called Fort Portal Jade bean. It's a pole bean, and it's a green stringed bean, and Jared Gettle received about 20 seeds of it, and we got it late in the fall. Now, normally, it takes us a couple of years once somebody submits a seed to us before we trial it, and then if we like it, then it goes to a grower the following season, and they produce it. And if they don't have enough seeds to start with, it has to get up to a seed stock increase, so they build it up to a pound or so, and then we can ship it off to a grower the final year. So sometimes 2 to 3 years once we discover a variety before we can get it into our catalog, okay? So other times, though, it works out a lot better. This Fort Portal Jade that we received, we just had 20 seeds of. We grew them in Jared's greenhouse through the winter. By the springtime, by the time it was, so in October we discovered it, grew them in the greenhouse. I saved seeds off of a first crop and replanted those, and we grew 2 rounds of them before it was time to ship seeds to the growers. So I had 2 pounds of seeds to ship to growers, and we ended up with about 150 pounds by the next catalog season out of 20 seeds. So that's the Fort Portal Jade. Has anybody in here heard of it or grown it yet? You've seen it. It's beautiful, isn't it? Have you eaten on it yet?
No, I bought some seeds.
You haven't grown them yet. So sometimes I like the seeds just because they're beautiful. I don't know what they taste like, but they're gorgeous, and I'll grow them and raise them just because of that. So there's a lot to deciding if you want to grow for market or for seed production, and we want it to be lucrative for the producer. I don't want somebody to come to our company and produce seeds for us, and then it ends up being a failing venture for them. I want them to be encouraged. I want them to prosper. And, sometimes that's easier to do for some growers than it is for others, simply because maybe a grower won't cooperate and do their part. Well, you're going to get out of something what you put into it, right? And that's true of every aspect of life. And it's likewise true that if you want to finish something right, you have to start it right.